Hello everyone and welcome to the third and last part of the tier list. Today it's going to be time to sort the rest of the 17 roles. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, then be sure to do that first. Then you can see what it's a little bit look like. And yeah, tier list is basically ranking the roles or whatever you make a tier list on. From S to F, S is highest, F is the lowest. So yeah, let's get started today with these 17 roles. We have a few werewolves, as you can see. That's mainly, we have some solo roles and some special roles. Not a lot of villagers anymore, but that doesn't matter too much, I would say. We are going to start with the junior werewolf, and the junior werewolf is going to be an A tier role, S tier role, I mean, because yeah, you can tag someone. It's a really useful werewolf, and yeah, that's also assumption. It's not like it's a thing on its own, as in that it's an ability. But junior werewolves are usually the ones that change the game for the werewolves. They are the ones to do aura simulations. They try to get lynched, or they are trying to be the first one to actually get killed by the village. Of course, you don't want to die, but it's the first one to actually die. That's the goal, usually. And yeah, with this assumption, the junior werewolf comes with some nice acts, usually. I'm going to put this on the S tier for sure. It's a really important werewolf, and I could not imagine a time without this guy. Like, okay, there are certainly games without junior, but a junior is a really important werewolf in my opinion. And then I'm going to talk about another S tier werewolf, and then you may think, that is gonna be this guy. Well, it is actually not. It's going to be the Shaman, and that might be weird, but I like the Shaman as much as the junior werewolf, at least, because Shaman, you can really influence factual information of seers and aura seers, and also detectives, of course, not to forget about that. Spirit seers and sheriffs, no, you won't really influence them, but you will definitely influence the main informers, and that is what I like here. The Shaman also comes with acts usually, but it's a really cool role. You can really change information, and you can change it for the good, for the better. As Wolf Shaman, you can actually win the game if your enchantments are really good without pulling a real act. Well, you will have to claim, because otherwise that enchanted villager can't just claim their actual role, and no one is gonna counterclaim. So yeah, then you will still be found. But yeah, the Shaman is also a way, by the way, to actually launder yourself. Laundering means that you can actually make yourself confirmed good by enchanting the detective's target. So if you, for example, enchant the gunner, and he is checking with the gunner, and he checks you with the gunner, he says gunner equals you, and then you are confirmed good usually. So yeah, that is a really cool trick about the Wolf Shaman, and definitely S tier worth. But no other werewolves are gonna be here on this tier. We are going to talk about the Cannibal right now. The Cannibal is one of those solo roles that is still in this list, and it's a, let's think about that, B tier role. I like the Cannibal a lot. I haven't played so often, but the first game I played it, I won the games, and that was a cracker on YouTube. It was a really good video. And it's a B tier because I think it's nice to have such a sort of freedom. It's really cool if it appears as the random killing role, because you can surprise quite a lot, like the arsonist. You can make the village think that there is a sect leader or a zombie in the game, but actually there's you in the game, and it has a lot of freedom. You don't have to kill randomly in the first night. You can just kill whenever you want, and that is what I like. And it also rises some attention to you at some point, but that can also be really funny element in a game. But I wouldn't place this higher, because the killing on its own is not really special. as yeah, most kills are not really special, but Corruptor is a bit special. Gonna talk about that later. But the Cannibal is a B tier role. And now it's time to talk about one of the worst roles, in my opinion, of the games, and that's the Seer Apprentice. The Seer Apprentice had a really cool purpose, but playing a Seer Apprentice is not really easy. You can easily you can easily be outclaimed by the wolves. The wolves can easily simulate you. Nobody is going to trust you unless you actually got confirmed good by the actual Seer or the Aura Seer or the Detective. I don't know what you have in your game, but the Seer Apprentice is really hard to confirm for yourself, and it's not my favorite role at all. I would really not like to play this role because you are pretty unreliable, as with some other roles like the Beast Hunter. So yeah, Seer Apprentice is quite a low role and definitely doesn't deserve a higher tier than the F tier. It's not like a zombie level, which should be F or lower than F, but it's definitely not E or higher. No, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna be higher. Now it's time to pull on a different role, and we're going to talk about the Priest right now. It's the E tier for the Priest because, listen, it's an easy role to confirm, and with the Priest comes a lot of randomness as well. Like, a lot of Priests do random water, definitely in the non-ranked, but also in ranked it happens. And it's a really easy role to confirm yourself. The fact that it actually separates between solo roles and the werewolves, that is the good thing. But besides that, I hate this kind of killer. It's really, yeah, of course there's some danger. Like, you actually, if you want to play this seriously, then you are gonna think, should I water or not? Like, is this definitely a werewolf? Because you don't want to die. But besides that, it's not my favorite kind of killer. I prefer even Gunner or, yeah, definitely Marksman, obviously, and Jailer. But this is not really a good role in my opinion. And it should not be in ranked in my opinion. Well, it could be as RRV, but not as a standard role. We are going to talk about the role that could and maybe should even replace the Priest to spice things a little bit up in ranked. And that is a role that's gonna be on the C tier, the Cursed. Yeah, the Cursed is a different role. Like, not a kind of, it's a really different role because it has the option to go to 2 teams actually, or it has the option to convert into a werewolf. But in fact it's a villager. As long as you're a villager, it's a really, yeah, a really boring role. But the thing with the Curse is this. In general, for a game, this is not a really good element. Like, in ranked it would be, but it's usually, yeah, it comes in quick game especially, and maybe as well in the custom games. But in quick game, this role appears so now and then. And the Cursed, yeah, in that game mode, it's not placed well, because if the Cursed is converted, well, they will either suicide, or sometimes, yeah, in other ways, they're probably on a strong werewolf team, and then it's too overpowered. And in the higher zones, like in ranked, it would be interesting. I think they wouldn't see suicide, that would be game throwing, and just, yeah, it's actually breaking rules. But I think Cursed would add a really interesting element, but playing as Cursed in general would definitely deserve an A tier. So yeah, for the overpoweredness, I would say E. For playing as it, it's A, so I place it on C. Actually, it adds a lot to the game. I could also place it on B or something, but I'm going with C today for the Cursed. So now we have these roles left, and it's going to be time for the all random role, which is also going to be a C1. Yeah, I cannot really, it's hard to explain this. It is quite an average one, because it can be anything. Like, if you have an extra full headhunter, it's like, I don't know how to explain this. This is actually the average of all roles, but the fact that it's kind of random, well, let's say it in this way. In some cases, like a president, if you get an extra president or a fool or a headhunter, well, for them it's cool. Well, not for the president maybe, but for the fool or the headhunter it's cool. But in general, the game, it's not a cool element to have in the game. Well, it could be cool, but it's also way too easy sometimes to be a random fool and then win the game. So yeah, in that perspective, I would place this really low. But what I like is the fact that the all random role really creates a different kind of game on its own. You can really imagine that you have normal Werewolf Online, I would say in general 10 villagers, 4 werewolves, a lynch role and a solo role. But you also have like the serial killer games in which you have 16 serial killers and you are going to fight for who is fastest, who has the most luck. Let's click as soon as possible during the voting session, because these games are usually only 2 or 3 seconds per phase. That is something that comes with this kind of games, with the serial killer games, and that's what I like. And the random role is also something that can be used for a total different experience, like an all random game, or maybe 15 randoms and a cupid, which also occurs quite a lot. That is really cool about a random role, and that definitely would deserve an S tier. So I'm going to place this over here on the C tier, but also here a lot of room for interpretation. It could be higher, it could be lower. Now it's going to be time for, I think, the tough guy. And the tough guy, well, it is mainly because I want to have 7 roles in every tier, but the tough guy is going to be an F tier. An F tier, and that's low. A lot of people are going to disagree on that. I already realized that. Don't hate me for this, but the tough guy is going to be an F tier for me. Well, it's cool to see someone, but it's also really confirmable information, which is something I talked about earlier, not something I like in particular. And playing this tough guy can be interesting as RV, but otherwise it's not even that interesting. And the protection itself it's not really worth it, because you will die anyways. And then, yeah, it's actually, in that night of getting attacked, it's 0 kills. Next night is gonna be 2 kills if you include the person that you protected is gonna get killed, plus you die. So yeah, 2 kills, it doesn't really matter. The protection side of it is not really a big thing, unlike the bodyguard and especially like the doctor. So yeah, tough guy, really low. Confirmable information. There's really not anything that I like, well, except for baiting. You could bait the werewolves. That is the only plus I could say in this one, the only pro. But yeah, besides that, nothing good about the tough guy. So yeah, you could say, for you it could be an S tier because you like to bait werewolves with being tough guy. I don't know, but I place it on the F tier personally. Then it's going to be time to talk about I think it's good time to talk about the Alpha Werewolf. The Alpha Werewolf is going to be the last role that's going to fill in the E tier, because the Alpha is basically a regular werewolf, but then with an unknown aura and a double vote. Well, let's be honest, nobody cares about that double vote. Sometimes it can be useful, it can be crucial if you have like dumb werewolves and you are the Alpha Werewolf, or it's the other way around, you are a dumb Alpha Werewolf and you're gonna waste the game or something like that. Sometimes it's crucial that the Alpha Werewolf votes the correct person, that the Alpha Werewolf is the one to make the correct decisions. But in general, the thing that matters most is the unknown aura, because that will make you able to disguise as potentially a solo role and definitely a fool, which makes you less vulnerable, I would say, as werewolf if you are getting checked by auras here and the fool is still in the game. So that's what I like. That's the only reason why I would place this one higher than the regular werewolf, but there's nothing else that I can say about this. It's an E tier, solid E tier, not higher, not lower for me. Well, we could actually, maybe I could like put tough guy on E and Alpha on F, I don't know, but I'm not gonna do that right now. It's now time to talk about let's say the Nightmare Werewolf. The Nightmare Werewolf is a really, recently added role as well. And this is such a cool role. It's going to be an A tier role. Yeah, it really deserves that spot. I like to give nightmares, and the thing is that it can be overpowered, but as long as there are not a lot of other overpowered, like if you had a setup with a Junior Werewolf, a Wolf Seer, a Nightmare Werewolf and a Wolf Berserk, or maybe a Kitten Werewolf in the future instead of a Junior Werewolf or a Wolf Berserk, then it's too overpowered for sure. But if you have like a Shaman, a Wolf Seer, and maybe a Junior or an Alpha instead of a Shaman, I don't know, regular Werewolf maybe, then this is okay to have. It could be bad for the balance, but that's mainly if there are a lot of other strong werewolves as well. What I like here is that your nightmares will actually influence the game. If you give a protector the nightmare, that protector cannot protect the player that they meant to protect, so you can kill for free. Do you give the jailer a nightmare, you can kill the gunner. Do you give the informer a nightmare, they cannot check for that night. That is the cool thing. But you can even use this against zombies, although that's maybe a little bit extreme. But sack leader and more importantly the solo roles in end game can be really useful to use it against them or the jailer. So yeah, and the medium as well, like they may not revive this night. So the Nightmare Werewolf deserves an A tier. It can be overpowered, that's why I wouldn't place it on the S tier, but except for that, it's definitely an A tier role. Then we are going to talk about the Corruptor, which is going to be a D tier. Well, in first instance I thought like, okay, this is going to be an overpowered role. Then I thought like, okay, well, yeah, also after talking with Sylvanus, I thought like, maybe it's not really overpowered because you yourself have to know who you actually kill, otherwise you cannot make really use of that. And on top of that, the main problem is that your target will not die instantly, but at the end of the day, which means that the village gets the idea that they can still save that villager, definitely if it's an important one, or that they think it's an important one, and they will really, trust me, they will really try to kill that Corruptor so that they can save a villager. And that is a real big problem for me with the Corruptor. But yeah, Corruptor, it's kind of cool concept, but it's slightly failed, I would say. So now it's time for the last 6 roles, and we're gonna finish all the tiers. The E tier has already been finished with the Pacifist, the Bomber, the Seer, the Red Lady and stuff. We are going to start in the bottom, and yeah, if you look at these roles, I think a lot of you would say it's either gonna be President or Sorcerer. Well, for me there is a huge difference between those two. I'm gonna place the President here. The President is, together with the Zombie, in my opinion, the biggest fail of Werewolf Online. The Zombie is probably the worst, but the President comes after that. The intention, the idea behind the President is great. Like, it's changing games because, okay, the bad guys can work together, and on top of that, the protectors are getting really important, and yeah, the killers and yeah, the informers are still really important, but they go on the background actually. So that's the cool thing, but the problem is big. If the President suicides, it's basically a village of 9 villagers and nothing changes besides that. It's really a lot of President suicide. It's probably the reason why they removed it from Sandbox quickly after they introduced it in Sandbox. It never made its way to ranked, if I am correct. And yeah, President is not gonna be higher than this. The concept is cool, but it's a huge fail. Then we are going to talk about the D tier. And on the D1, I got a serial killer like the Corruptor. It is not, the Corruptor has some flaws. The serial killer, the thing with the serial killer is like, it's, I would say it's like the regular werewolf and the fourth one, but it's still a solo killer. It's average, but I don't really like it that much, honestly. It's just 1 kill per night. It's really basic, so yeah, not a lot of explanation needed here. We're gonna place this on the D tier, not really high. It's higher than the Bomber because there's a little more control, but it's definitely not gonna be better than a Cannibal or Arsonist, in my opinion. Well, the Cannibal and Arsonist, we could also doubt that one. But yeah, Circular is a D tier role for me. Then the C tier, also quite an average one, is the Witch. The Witch is a nice role. I like to play as Witch a lot. But it's easy to confirm. But the thing that I like about the Witch is the fact that they can both kill and protect. And okay, they can only do it both once, and in a matter of protection, it's not really overpowered in that way. But it's still kind of cool to have two functionalities as one role. And I cannot call one role, besides the Jailer maybe, that has that. Well, there probably is. I probably forget about something. But yeah, the Witch has two functionalities. That's cool. But the flaws, of course, that is easy to confirm. And yeah, nothing to say about that. It could also be higher, I don't know. But I like these three roles more. And I don't know if they really deserve. Well, I could maybe switch Witch and Doctor or Aura, I don't know. But yeah, Witch probably gonna be on the C tier. Then we're going to talk about the B tier. Ooh, what role is it going to be? It is going to be the RRV. Yes, okay, that was a bit strange maybe. I'm bad at that. But the RV is gonna be the B tier because it's a good element to ranked especially. Of course, like the RSV, like the random werewolf, and definitely like the random killing role. Yeah, there is a huge difference between a Forkman, a Doctor, or I would say Grumpy Grandma or a Witch. But the element of an RV in ranked is cool, and most RVs, or maybe not even most, but quite a lot of RVs can be simulated by werewolves, and that is really good. And like RSV, if you would add an RSV in ranked, that would be cool, but it can really determine games what RSV you get. With RRVs, well, I would say with one RRV at least, it wouldn't change that much. Well, with 3 it can, of course, but that's more about the combination of the 3. And imagine a game with 3 RSVs and all gunners. Well, that would be terror, I would say, for the werewolves probably. But yeah, if you can mislead the gunners in such a way that they shoot off villagers, then it can be your victory as well. Yeah, that can change a lot. But the RVs do not change like the RSV or the RKR. And the RKR is the random killing role, or even the random werewolves. So RVs, B tier, although I still prefer random werewolves in this perspective. Then it's gonna be time for the last 2 roles, and yeah, everyone who knows me could guess what is going to be where. I'm gonna place the Sorcerer on the A tier. Sorcerer is, after those 2, together with the Nightmare, one of my favorite. It's yeah, I would say it's quite a bad werewolf. It's probably even weaker than a normal werewolf, since it can never really kill. But what I like about the Sorcerer is the element of, yeah, you know, you have to share the information somehow with the werewolves. And that is the cool thing what I like about the Sorcerer. It's so hard, it's a challenge on its own to share information with werewolves, if you want to be useful at least. So that is what I like with the Sorcerer. It's a really cool role, and I would say this is a role that should really come back to some modes. I don't know if that should be custom there, we got it, but I don't know if this should be ranked or sandbox. Could be interesting for both, I would say. But Sorcerer is definitely one of my favorite werewolves. And then, last but not least, my favorite role in general, Avenger. And that can, of course, not be anything lower than the S role. The Avenger is really cool because it appears as an RV. And the biggest thing is that if a villager decides to kill you, to lynch you, or the village in general, then you can take your revenge and kill the actual werewolf, and that is a really cool thing. And that is why I would put this Avenger on the S tier. So this is the best role in the game for me. Probably not for anyone else here. Well, if you are on Avenger squad, leave it in the comments, then I'm gonna give you a heart for sure. Well, anyways, this is gonna be the tier list. As you can see right here, the top tier has the Grumpy Grandma, the Jailer, the Fool, the Marksman, the Junior Werewolf, the Wolf Shaman, and the Avenger. And in bottom we have a Werewolf, the Forkman, the Zombie, the Flower Child, the Seer, Apprentice, the Self-Guy, and President. You can see it for yourself. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this small series, the 1000 subscriber special. Thanks so much for the support, and hopefully you can leave a like and subscribe so that we can do a special soon again. And join the Hypo Discord server if you want to chat with me. A link is in the description, and I will see you later. And don't be a traitor. Goodbye.